Ladies, gentlemen, and those of us who know better. It's September, and I finished a book, A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. This is a sequel to The Long Way from a Small Angry Planet, which I read earlier this year, and I really liked it. I liked both of them, but I think I liked this one more. One problem I had with the first book is that it reads more as a series of vignettes about a group of people on a spaceship that's traveling, and that's all well and good, but what I liked about this book was that it focuses on just two characters and their parallel stories that actually kind of have an obvious end point, goal, and character development that has to go along with that, and it's also about like learning how to make yourself into a person when you were originally conceived of as a machine, literally or figuratively. It's not really, I think, necessary to read these books in order, but it might help, frankly. Just plot-wise, it probably doesn't matter. But as far as the universe, a lot more things were explained in the first book that we were just supposed to kind of remember in this book, and I was having some trouble, but that's okay. I got there in the end. But it follows one of the major characters from the first book, and I'll just tell you who it is, because you know I don't care about spoilers. But spoilers for Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. At the end of that book, they have to do a hard reboot on Lovelace, the AI who inhabits the Wayfarer spaceship. And there's like a chance that she'll come out of it fine, but there's also a chance that she won't, and she doesn't. She forgets everything. And so because one of the crew members was in love with Lovelace, it's obviously like really hard for him, and then hard also for everyone else who were friends with her, to have this AI who they used to know, who doesn't know them anymore, you know, whatever. So they basically replace her with someone and take the original Lovelace and they put her in a body which has been fashioned for an AI to live in, and it's super illegal. But this book follows Lovelace, or as she calls herself in this book, Sidra, so she gives herself an actual name, and her struggles to kind of figure out how to be a person and how to adjust to living inside a body rather than a spaceship. And at the same time, it tells a story of Pepper, who was also in the first book. We met her briefly. And she was, and the story of Pepper is mostly taking place like 15 or whatever years previously. Sorry. Yeah, so Pepper's story takes place about 15 or so years previously when she was a kid, and she was originally manufactured essentially as a little clone person to work in a factory. And it's the story of how she was able to escape there and also escape the planet. And it's about AIs being people, really, and about people learning how to be people, and it's like really good. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet because I felt like it was more cohesive. And I like a good science fiction book that has robots. Now, I want to do this as well in this video. You might remember that A Field Guide to Bacteria is the book that I was supposed to finish in August and 100% didn't. I've gotten pretty far, but it's physically killing me. And I do want to try and finish all 12 books before the end of the year, even ideally before the end of November, because that'll be an actual full year, roughly. So I'm going to pull another book out of the mug, and then, you know, maybe I'll read it instead of this for now. We'll see. But it's killing me, so I gotta do it. I think there's like 4 books left in here. Here's me mug. Alright, I got one. Ah! Bullfinch's Mythology. Okay. I did put that in there. I was having some trouble remembering exactly what I put. Yeah, I was having some trouble remembering exactly what I put in there, but Bullfinch's Mythology, The Age of Fable, The Legends of Charlemagne, and The Age of Chivalry. It's old, like, mythology stuff, some of it, ooh, King Arthur. But yeah, it's like, there's a whole bunch of Greek stuff in here. So I think it's just going to go through a lot of different mythologies and fables from Greek and Roman and also English history. So that'll be cool. And I don't know which of the books, of the challenge books, I will finish first. Probably this one. But I just thought, you know what, I don't want to let Field Guide to Bacteria totally stall my attempts to read everything in that mug. Because come November or December, ideally I would like to be done with them all, and then I can come up with a new challenge, which might just be the same one again, but with different books, but I haven't decided yet. So, also it's got kind of blue page ends, so that's fun. Or maybe it's more green. Anyway, catch you next time. I finished another robot book, The Naked Sun by Isaac Asimov. So this is a sequel to The Caves of Steel, which I read last year, and it's from the robot series or robot trilogy, where we have a human detective who is forced to pair up with a robot detective and solve mysteries. They fight crime. So this one, they go to one of the outer worlds, and it's this really strange place where everybody lives by themselves on these really big estates, and like only communicate with other people via like these holographic interfaces, kind of, so they can see each, so like they call it viewing, and they think of it as different than seeing, because if you're seeing someone, then like you're actually physically in the same space. If you're viewing, you're not. And like they all are really horrified by the idea of spending time actually seeing somebody, and Bailey's like, why? This place is weird, but also he's dealing with the fact that back on Earth everybody lives in these big dome cities, but here on Solaria, you know, people just go around outside like normal fucking people, right? And he's like, ugh. So he's kind of trying to deal with that. But basically he gets asked to go to Solaria to solve a murder mystery, because, well, on the one hand, there's only one suspect, but on the other hand, she couldn't possibly have done it, because, like, people are almost never in actual physical proximity with each other. Also, there are a fuck ton of robots in this world, so he's trying to deal with that, and, like, I really enjoyed this book. The ultimate solution didn't work that well for me, but other than that, I really liked the book. I don't know. I like Asimov, man. Like, his writing style is just, it's not beautiful by any means, but it's just so simple and to the point, and I'm like, yep, I get it, he's telling me what I need to know, and we're moving on, and everything is fine and great, and Bailey is not a terribly interesting person, but I still kind of like him, and Daniel, the robot detective, there's like big, large swaths of this book that he's just not even in. He is not, I don't know, I don't find him super interesting because, like, Asimov has some books where the robots are definitely people, but this isn't really one of them. Daniel is, like, not a person. He's a robot. You know what I mean? So it's a little harder to get invested in caring. Plus, this book doesn't hugely focus on him or on his relationship with Bailey like the first one did. Because a lot of the Caves of Steel was Bailey figuring out how to work with Daniel, and also like occasionally just being like, "You're not actually a robot," and he's like, because Bailey's ridiculous. But this one is not, because he's like, "Yep, Daniel, he's here, he's robot," and spends his time kind of trying to avoid Daniel and like figure out like, what can I do so that he won't keep preventing me from doing certain things I need to do, because like I need to do these things, but he's preventing me from doing them because they'll be harmful to me, because that's just how robots do, you know, and it's inconvenient. Also, I love this cover. I don't know if this is a good way to look at it, but like, it looks weirdly sexy. Like, it's not, and the scene is not, but like, doesn't it look weirdly sexy? Just the way that Bailey is leaning against the wall here for some reason. I don't even know. Alright. So, I enjoyed it, and there is a couple of other books, I guess, in this series. Like, I know one of them is like Robots and Empire, which I think connects with the Foundation series, so like I'm gonna stray away from that for now. But the next book is Robots of Dawn, I think, and that one I don't remember what it's about, but it sounded interesting when I did know, so I'm totally gonna read that at some point. But for now I'm done with this. And I think, like, okay, the next book I'm reading is not largely about robots, I think, so that's good at least. Yeah, so I will catch you whenever I finish another book. Alright, I finished Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. So, it was really great. I really liked it. You've probably heard of this one. So had I, and going into it I knew a couple of things, which I guess technically are spoilers, but on the other hand, like, if you went into this book with exactly zero information, I feel like the first half of it would be kind of boring. Because you wouldn't be spending your time like I was, being like, okay, but what's really happening here? Because I know it's not as simple as it appears. I don't know if I want to get into spoilers or not. Fuck it. I'm gonna get into spoilers. Okay. You know, so that's your warning. I really liked it. I thought the ending was depressing as fuck. I thought, like, basically the worst ending... Okay, so the worst ending would be if Nick ended up in jail for murdering Amy. And she was just off living her life and having a good time. The second worst ending would be if he actually killed her and then went to jail for murdering her for real. So I feel like we got the third worst ending. Which is that she has engineered a situation where they have to be together forever. And, God, the whole thing is so horrifying, because the premise is that she's, like, fucking psycho, and basically thinks it's, like, totally justified that, well, her husband cheated on her, and, like, doesn't love the real her, which, by the way, is her own fault anyway, because she admits that she was pretending to be what she calls the cool girl when she met him. So, like, it's not exactly his fault that he fell in love with someone who doesn't exist, because, like, if you weren't pretending to be her, it wouldn't have happened, you know. Oh my god, also, she is, like, such a misogynist. Like, this woman hates women. And yet she thinks that she's not really, I mean, she never actually in the text is like, I'm a feminist, but like the things that she talks about make it seem like, I don't know, like she's familiar with at least some of the ideas and language and stuff, but then she also just like really hates women and men. She hates everyone. And she thinks she's hot shit. And she's like a genius, but she's also a horrible person because, okay, anyway, like I'm saying, she thinks a reasonable response to what Nick did, which was, like, bad, but, like, whatever, is to spend an entire year carefully putting together a plan to fake her own death and implicate him so that he will be arrested and convicted for her murder. And by the way, also, conveniently, they have the death penalty in Missouri. And you're like, what the fuck, lady? Ugh. It's so good. And, yeah. And just the whole idea of, like, being in that situation where somebody has framed you so expertly because there's nothing he can do to get out of it, except as he realizes, because he does eventually realize, oh, she's framing me. And then he realizes the only way he can get out of it is to try to, like, hope she's watching the news and whatever, and hope that she will see what he says, and then he tries to basically win her back, and it does end up working. So her coming back and being like, oh, I'm not dead, you know, obviously is the only thing that's preventing him from getting arrested. But then, and then what she does to Desi, too. And by the way, Desi was creepy as fuck, but, like, did he deserve to bleed to death? I don't think so. So yeah, I want to watch the movie, but I think maybe not right away. Just, like, let the book kind of fade a little bit, and then I'll watch the movie. But, yeah, I thought it was fantastic. And, like, really scary, honestly, in that sense of just feeling trapped, in a situation. And, yeah, it's interesting. And I definitely want to read more by Gillian Flynn. I don't know what Dark Places is about, but Sharp Objects, I watched most of the miniseries with Amy Adams. I didn't actually finish it, though, so I'm like, wait, maybe I should just read the book instead of finishing the miniseries, because I still don't know who did it. I mean, I'm like, I think it's one of her family members, but that's, you know, I don't know. So I really do want to read that book. And I mean, I guess that's basically it. It was really, really good. It was in many ways what I'm really hoping for in a thriller. I don't read a lot of them, but I found it very satisfying. Star Wars Aftermath Life Debt by Chuck Wending. So this is a sequel to a book called Star Wars Aftermath, which I read like maybe 4 years ago. And I thought it was okay, but finally decided to pick up the next one just for the hell of it. Gotta admit, not a big fan. But it's hard for me to explain why exactly. The characters are fine. The storyline is fine. I mean, honestly, the reason I decided to read it was because the whole plot is that his little group of original characters are kind of working as bounty hunters. They go and they pick up old Imperials who have hidden out somewhere, and then they bring them back to the New Republic and get paid. But then Leia comes to them with a request. Can they go rescue Han and Chewie, because the two of them have disappeared while working on trying to liberate Kashyyyk. So it gets into that, and I was like, this is fine. But what shall I complain about? Let's see. Number one, I don't like the writing style. It's in present tense, which I usually do not like, especially present tense third person. Why? Why do people write books in this tense? I don't get it. I don't enjoy reading that. I find it annoying. And I just generally didn't like a lot about the way it was written, actually. Not just that. But, I also feel, honestly, like I get so much less from a book like this than I do from older Star Wars books that I've read, where this kind of plot would have been, I don't know, it would have been deep and intricate, and it would have involved, like, a lot of concentration on the place and the various people, and this just feels really scattered. I do like his original characters for the most part. Some of them I don't find terribly interesting, but some of them I do like quite a bit. I like Nora Wexley. I like Sinjir. And I do like Grand Admiral Ray Sloane quite a bit. She's the bad guy I'm more interested in, rather than Gallius Rex, who is like the shadow bad guy behind her and who she doesn't like. I'm like, do I care where he comes from? No. Also, it seems near the end of this that Sloane was gonna die. She didn't. Spoilers. But anyway, I was like, if she dies, I'm legitimately definitely not gonna read the third book, because there is a third book. Now I'm like, maybe I will, because I am kind of curious. But yeah, I don't know, I just didn't care for this book that much. I mean, I have to compare it to other Star Wars books, and it just kind of didn't meet it kind of didn't meet the bar, I guess, as far as that goes. I don't know. I think maybe part of it is this choice he made to have these intermittent chapters that are just like these interludes where you see stuff that's going on in a bunch of different planets, and that has like basically no bearing on the main plot of the book. And I liked those chapters well enough, but I think they contributed to the overall scattered feeling of the book. So it was kind of like, can we just concentrate on what the fuck's happening, please? Even in the middle of the climax, I was like, can you stop? Please. Like, I don't care. So, all of that said, there were a few moments that kind of made me feel a thing. Mainly it was because towards the end, okay, spoilers, because who cares, they liberate Kashyyyk, and then Han decides that he's going to go back to Leia, because some shit went down. And he's going to go back with some of the others. And Chewie is going to stay behind on Kashyyyk. So they have kind of like a moment. And it's sweet. Because Han and Chewie's like friendship. And there were some good bits where Han got on people's cases about Chewie in general. Yeah. So I care about that, but like, I mean, it was kind of fun to see Han from an outsider perspective, but I don't know. I just overall didn't really care for it. Will I read Empire's End, which is the third one? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe in like 4 years I'll forget that I didn't really like this book. And then I'll be like, oh, maybe I should finally read Empire's End. Because I am kind of curious just as to what happens to Sloane. Like, she's my favorite character in it, honestly. Because I honestly feel like she has the most development in a weird way. And, like, her plot is what matters the most and was had, like, the most consistent. So, I don't know what I want to have happen to her. I mean, it would be nice for her to be defeated, I guess. But I also kind of think it's too bad that she's so, like, set in the mindset that the order of the Empire is needed, you know, and it's like, shut up, you fucking fascist. Like, can you... I would like it if she could, you know, get over that, but I don't know. I don't know that she will. But... what else is worth mentioning? Sinjin has a Sinjir has a boyfriend in this for, like, a couple chapters. I liked him. Okay, and then Sinjir's like, breaks up with him because he's like, I'm a terrible person, I have to go, like, murder people? I don't know. I don't know what Sinjir's fucking doing. So that's great. But, you know, I mean, it always warms the cockles of my heart to read a Star Wars book with a gay character, because it's like, you know, suck on it, George Lucas. The gays are in Star Trek now, and there's nothing you can do about it. But, I have, you know, this, again, I don't care about this book that much, but... I feel like I liked Aftermath more. I don't know why, because I don't remember it super well. So maybe I didn't, and I just don't remember it, and I forgot that I didn't like it. But I feel like I did. I don't know. Whatever. I guess, like... oh, okay, wait. I have another thing to talk about. Last thing, and then I'm going to shut up. Wedge Antilles is in this. So he was in Aftermath quite a bit, which is probably part of the reason I liked it. Ha ha ha. He's in this basically in Aftermath he got captured by Sloane and, like, tortured and stuff, and she broke his leg, and his leg got broken and stuff. So in this book he's still recovering from that, and he's not allowed to fly, so he's just kind of hanging around. But, I mean, it's been like 6 months, but, you know, it's taking a while for him to recuperate. But anyway, right. So the thing about Wedge, I love Wedge, I do, but the thing is, I love Wedge because of the X-Wing books, and those aren't canon anymore. So like every time he is in this book or whatever other Star Wars book, I just get all this like, who is he really kind of vibe, because like everything I know about him comes from those books and doesn't really apply anymore. So I'm like, this Wedge Antilles, like, he could be from anywhere. His parents could be anyone. I mean, I've watched Star Wars Rebels, and Wedge was in that a couple of episodes, and in that they have his backstory be that he was actually an Imperial pilot, TIE fighter pilot who defected, which is the backstory different characters have in the X-Wing books, but not him. But it's fine, I guess. I mean, I hate it, but it's fine. Okay, I'm just really attached to the X-Wing books and every single thing that happens in them, so it's kind of an issue for me. But anyway, there's nothing that can really be done about that. It's fine. But it just makes me uncomfortable whenever he's around in the book, because I'm like, who are you? And it just feels like he's not really Wedge, which is unfair, because we have we got blank slate Wedge again, but I'm like, I don't want him back. I want the other one. Anyway, sorry, this is like me complaining about something that happened years ago and I understand why they made the books to be not canon. I get it. It makes perfect sense. If you're going to make more movies, you don't want to deal with 30 years of history that have built up and been written about in those books. Like, it's just too much, and it became too much for me because I stopped reading them. But, like, it was a big-ass clusterfuck. They got attacked by bug people from another galaxy. I don't know. But anyway, the point is I understand why legends happened, but I miss Old Wedge. So in conclusion, I don't know. I didn't really like it that much, but maybe that's just me and the writing style. So I'm gonna jet. See you later. Bloody Jack by L.A. Meyer. I'm gonna keep this quick. This is a young adult book that I was really into when I was a young adult. Well, actually when I was like in middle school. And it's the first of a series, and I've decided that I'm going to reread the series and do like reading vlogs about the books. So that's why I'm not going to really say that much about them in these videos, because like I've already said all that stuff in a different one, which I'll put up at some point eventually. But just suffice to say, really enjoyed it, as always, and I read it this month, so I had to film a little bit of something to acknowledge that.